welcome to the back catalog listening party.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And my name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we're being joined by 3 members of the Po Ramblin Boys here at the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old-Time Music Festival. Yes. In Richmond, Minnesota. And because it's happy hour, we're going to be, I don't know if, it might be a little early for some, but I do have the Mother Banjo flask ready to go because it's camping season, right?
Yeah, and we're in festival time, so...
Exactly,
exactly.
Although it looks like you have to stay awake for things.
Yes, I got my cold pressed coffee today.
Excellent. And we have some water and LaCroix happening over there?
That's right.
Exactly. You got to stay hydrated because there's a lot of festivaling to be had. Well, we are so happy you are joining us and live here at the festival. And what we are going to do is what we do every week, which is we invite different guest artists to revisit one of their old records and talk about the songs. You can ask questions, and we encourage you to do so. And we're just going to enjoy some music. So before we get started, for some of you might have caught the Po Ramblin Boys last night on the main stage. All right, yeah. And but for those of you who might be less familiar with the boys and their music, maybe one of you might want to take a stab at doing a 2-minute bio about how you all met and formed the Po Ramblin Boys.
All right, I can probably do that.
You got it, bud.
Let's see here, 2 minutes. Well, basically, it all started with a Craigslist ad in the, that's what we jumped into. No, we started playing in 2014 down in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. CJ, the mandolin player, was tasked with putting together a house band for the Old Smoky Moonshine Distillery down there. They have music every single day, starting at noon with a full band going until 10 o'clock at night. So 7 days a week. They need a lot of music. So the music director asked CJ, can you put together a group? He said, yeah. So he called Josh and Jeremy, and they had another boy down there playing bass at the time. I was working in the distillery, serving samples of the moonshine. And
he was in the porn industry.
Yeah, pouring moonshine. So CJ, they were trying to find a full-time bass player because the boy that was playing bass had to go back to high school.
Yeah.
So they started playing in July. In August, he was going back to school. So I think it was like August 3rd was the first day I played with y'all.
Yeah.
It was a Sunday.
Yeah.
And we had to play from 12 until 10 that night. Wow. So it was 10 45-minute sets.
It was a good first day.
It was the first day. So
that's how you get tight fast.
Yeah. How many repeats did you do in those 10 hours?
Not a lot. It was basically just the top hits, like things like Rocky Top and Man of Constant Sorrow, Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Songs that get requested every set. Those are the only ones we repeated. Otherwise, we were just pulling out new stuff. Not new stuff, but new old stuff. Did a lot of Jimmy Martin songs back then. Did a lot of James King songs back then. Bill Monroe, Flat and Scruggs. Yeah, at that point we didn't have any new material.
Stanley Brothers. You forgot the Stanley Brothers.
Yeah, we did 1 or 2 of those too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much how the band got kickstarted. In 2020, we brought on our fiddle player, Laura Orshaw. And other than that, it's been the same 4 of us boys since 2014.
Wow. And so when did these recordings start? Like when did you just say, we're a band now, we played 10 hours or whatever. now we're contractually obligated to put a record together. How did the recording part of your band start?
So basically, when we first started, we weren't planning to play anywhere but the distillery. Jeremy and Josh still played with Tommy Brown and the Candyline Grass. CJ played with Carl Shiflett and the Big Country Show. And we were just like, this is just a day job, play during the week, and they were still going. Yeah, it was just a paycheck. They were going out on the weekends and still playing with those respective bands. Well, around 2015, we started getting calls from different venues and festivals wanting us to come out and actually play out on the road. So after that, I think it was 2015 was the first time we went up to Canada, Alberta, and played the Shady Grove Festival, and then had a pretty big run after that. We went to Europe and played some festivals and different venues. That's when we realized we needed an actual CD. So we sat down. Jeremy's dad, Tommy Brown, he had the band The Candyline Grass. They were on Random Records, and we got on the phone and talked to that record label, and they decided they wanted to sign us. So that's when we made this CD. This is the first CD we ever put out, and we recorded it with Tom Feller up in Indiana. Buckaroo Studios, that's
That was
right.
it.
Yeah.
We actually had a couple live CDs.
We did. They were
this.
bootleg, well, kind of bootleg live CDs.
They were very low budget. We playing at the distillery in a tourist trap town, like you were saying, you got to play the songs like Rocky Top and Foggy Mountain Breakdown and Man of Constant Sorrow. And selling CDs and tip buckets were part of the way we made our living at the distillery, so we had to have a CD that had those songs on it, so we just recorded one of our live sets down there and put out a couple CDs like that had all the, corny tourist songs on it.
And by bootleg, I mean we just had them made at somebody's house and we didn't pay royalties on them and could have gotten in trouble for it.
This one's above the
They're
board.
no longer for sale.
This one's above the board. You guys went to a studio.
That's right.
Now, like you had quite a catalog already after gig number one. How did you choose the songs that were going to go on this record?
Well, we decided to take. We didn't have a lot of original material then. I do most of the writing in the band, but I don't know if I was just bashful or what. But I only ended up pitching one of my own songs, just one of them for this album. But for the most part, we wanted to find obscure songs. CJ likes to call them gems, stuff that's been overlooked. You might have a record, you might have a Jimmy Martin record or something that's got, 6 of your favorite songs on that record, but there's going to be 6 songs on there that are really good songs that really got overlooked. So a lot of what we go for is that kind of stuff, and we still use that today when we're picking songs for albums.
And just to set the record straight, there's 2 songs that he wrote on this album.
I used to drink a lot. I don't remember.
Well, what do you think? Do you want to listen to one of these songs, guys? Yeah. All right, from the first Po Ramblin Boys album. The first song we're going to listen to is Remember Where You Came From. Is there anything you want to say about the song before we take a listen to it?
Yeah, this is one I wrote. I guess it's one of the 2 songs on this album that I wrote. And it's just about some advice that my dad gave me growing up. He said, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, remember where you came from because you can always come back. Your hometown, your family is always there.
So technically he wrote the song, because that's a pretty big lyrical part of it.
Whatever. Yeah, that's
Does he
it.
get songwriting credit?
He doesn't. Yeah, he gets enough credit.
Well, all right, let's give it a listen. This is the Po Ramblin Boys with Remember Where You Came From here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
When I was young boy, my daddy would say, remember where you came from if you ever go away. So big, and your life will be long. Remember where you came from. You can always go home. You can always go home. You can always go back. Back to the old home with mother and dad. If life is love, then your life will be long. Remember where you came from. You can always go home. Mom and Dad are waiting alone. for the boy to come back home. You can always go home, you can always go back to the old home with mother and dad. If life were love, then your life would be long. Remember where you came from, you can always go home. Back to the old home with mother and dad. If life is love, then your life will be long. Remember where you came from, you can always go home. Remember where you came from, you can always go home.
All right, yes. The Po Ramblin Boys, Remember Where You Came from their 2016 album Back to the Mountains, which we are revisiting today on this live taping of the Back Catalog Listening Party here at the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old-Time Music Festival. And we have 3 of the members of the Po Ramblin Boys joining us today. We have Jeremy, Jasper, and Josh. And Josh, again, the author of that song. So,
Is that you singing that too, Josh?
Yeah, that was me singing that.
Nice.
yeah, very smooth vocals. And do you have any particular singing influences?
Yeah, that's Carter Stanley is who I always looked up to as far as writing and singing goes.
Listening to this, I can't help but think that this is where you came from. Were you all born and raised in bluegrass music, or are any of you guys coming to it later in life?
I kind of came to it a little later on in life. What about you, Jasper? Jasper is kind of a... Well, yeah, Jeremy has the most history in it. You can talk a little bit about that there, Brian.
Yeah, I grew up in the music industry. Like Jasper said, my dad played. He still plays, and he goes along and drives a bus for us now. So, yeah, I grew up, I started playing banjo when I was 10 years old. So, that's a long time ago now.
But I'm curious then where you were coming from, because, man, this is like as trad as it gets. It sounds so good. I mean, I'm hearing all kinds of influences, so I'm always curious when folks are coming from some other genre. Were you playing rock, jazz, in other styles of music?
No, mainly just bluegrass, old country.
All right.
And Josh, what about you? You said you came from it later.
I just came to music later in general. I didn't play any music before I started playing bluegrass. I listened to a lot of rap music and a lot of 90s country.
When did you start writing material?
Probably the first time a girl let me down. Which would have been about...
No wonder you went into bluegrass music. There's a lot of that.
We were about 16 years old, I guess.
I think most songwriting careers started there.
With a little bit of trauma.
Well, one thing that stood out to me about this number is there's a lot of in a lot of bluegrass music. It's almost a trope now of like, you can't go back home. It's not like it used to be. The old home place is gone. And all of that kind of stuff. And you really turned that on its head on this one. And was that kind of an intentional, kind of rebuttal to that?
No, not really. I wrote that song when I was 17, or 18, I guess. I was 18 because I was working my first job, and it was awful. I was working in a warehouse. Anybody ever bought shoes from Zappos.com? Yeah, I probably shipped you your shoes at one point in my life. It was terrible, I lived like 5 minutes from the warehouse that I was working at, and I would go over there and I would work 10 or 12 hour shifts, and when you're working a 10 or 12 hour shift, standing inside of a semi-trailer for 10 or 12 hours, you get homesick no matter how close to home you are. And I just remember those words that my dad said, and I was like, man, I got to figure out something else to do with my life. So yeah, I wasn't really thinking about that. You know, I just kind of went with what I was feeling at the time. So it wasn't any kind of rebuttal or anything. It was just what was on my mind, you know.
And how many years later then did this ended up getting recorded or arranged by your new band, the Po Ramblin Boys?
Yeah, so I actually ended up recording it on a CD when I was 19. I recorded a CD of all songs that I wrote. So then I joined, that would have been 2009. So I would have been 26 when I recorded it with the band. Thank you for the quick math on that, Jasper.
And math is not something we usually require of our guests normally. But so when you brought it to the band, like how different was it from the original recording when you brought it to these guys?
Was it like hip hop version?
No, it was pretty much identical. Because the band that recorded on my CD was actually Jeremy's dad's band. So it was pretty much the same arrangement. We just cleaned it up a little bit, you know. Hired a better fiddle player and for the recording, and you know, just kind of updated it a little bit. It was pretty much the same.
Nice. Well, I love those harmonies that I was hearing. Was that the three of you, or?
No, that was Jeremy singing tenor on that, and CJ, our mandolin player, singing the baritone. Yep.
And I think the only person we haven't heard from in terms of their influences or what background they came from was Jasper. So tell us how you fell into bluegrass music.
Yeah, so I grew up in Washburn, North Dakota, which compared to where I live now is relatively close to where I am right now. We're not too far from North Dakota. My dad sang tenor and played guitar with a gospel quartet when I was a kid, and there was one bluegrass festival in the state at that time, the Missouri River Bluegrass Festival in Center, North Dakota, and on Sundays they would have his quartet come in because they tried to do all gospel music on Sundays, I guess. So we'd get tickets for the whole weekend, so it kind of became a thing where we just go over there for the whole thing, show up on Friday, and we'd camp out, and we just kind of fell into bluegrass and fell in love with it. Growing up, Dad only sang gospel songs, and he sang Jimmy Rogers songs and Hank Williams songs. So it's more like early country music, and gospel music was my original, you know, the original thing I was listening to, and then it switched over to bluegrass after that. But I didn't, you know, growing up, the biggest band we knew was like Frank Ray and Cedar Hill. Like that was, you know, which is still, I mean, Frank Ray always has a good band, still has a really good band, and puts out great music. But that was like Bill Monroe to us. I didn't even know who Bill Monroe was until I, you know, moved down south pretty much.
What brought you out there to Tennessee?
Well, so when I was 17, my whole family moved to southern Indiana, just about half an hour from Louisville, Kentucky. We lived right there by the river. So I actually was only like an hour from where Josh lives, or grew up. I went down to eastern Kentucky to college for a little while, and then moved down to Tennessee just to play music. There was opportunities in Gatlinburg. It's a big tourist town. They have a program they put on in the summers where they hire bands to walk up and down the street and play, just acoustically. So in like 2011, I started going down and doing that. And then when I got married in 2013, my wife and I just decided to move there just to try and play some music and make money playing music.
Well, you know, it's turned out all right for you guys. You seem to be doing very well, the Po Ramblin Boys. If you just came by the showcase tent here at the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old-Time Music Festival, this is a live taping of the Back Catalog Listening Party, a weekly show that I, Mother Banjo, and Anthony Ihrig host every week on YouTube, usually live at 4 p.m., but today we're doing a special taping here from the festival with one of our headlining acts, the Po Ramblin Boys. We have Jeremy, Jasper, and Josh joining us. And if you guys have any questions for the band at any time, including right now, you can just raise your hand and we'll try and incorporate your questions into our conversation. So let us know if there's anything you want to ask the band. But right now we're going to continue diving into this first record of theirs that they chose to revisit today for the show, and that's Back to the Mountains, Came out in 2016, and the second track that you've selected to feature today is Girl I Denied. Is there anything anyone wants to say about it before we give it a spin?
When we said we were going to talk about this song, we thought CJ would be here, the mandolin player. He's the one that wrote this song. And from what I recall him saying, it was based on a true story.
Yep, that's right. You want me to tell it? Yeah, there was this, I guess there was this girl back home in Missouri. It's always a girl back home. And there was this girl that was really, really, hot on CJ. She was all about him. Good girl, probably had a great future. Probably a nurse with, health insurance. Big old paycheck.
Musician's dream.
Yeah, but instead he went after this other girl and just, kind of kicked her to the curb. And it didn't end up working out for either one of them. Yeah, so now he has no paycheck and no health insurance.
But he has a song, so...
But he has a song. Yeah.
Right on. Well, let's give it a listen. This is The Girl I Denied from the Po Ramblin Boys here on the back catalog listing.
A blonde beauty with ocean blue eyes. Her voice was the purest of gold. She was every boy's fancy, the whole county wide, and they longed for her hand just to hold. She could have any feller from miles around, and she chose one that set her heart free. How could I believe that the man with the key to her heart was no other than me? Her pretty blue eyes still haunt me today. They were filled with teardrops of love. She wanted me so, but I couldn't let go to a love that I had before. River by the feed mill, skip rocks just her and me. Her heart fell for someone that wasn't real. By the river my secrets ran deep. Well, she didn't know that I had a love, and it captured my heart, soul, and mind. But the one that I loved had left me for another. To love my heart turned stone blind. Her pretty blue eyes still haunt me today. They were filled with teardrops of love. She wanted me so, but I couldn't let go to a love that I had before. To the blue eyes that I had denied. I loved her so deeply, true love I had, but I pushed that old true love aside. Her pretty blue eyes still haunt me today. They were filled with teardrops of love. She wanted me so, but I couldn't let go to a love that I had before.
Po Ramblin Boys here on the back catalog listening party, live from the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old-Time Music Festival. And that song, Girl I Denied, is written by one of the band members, CJ, who's busy doing another workshop, I think, right now. But we have Jeremy, Jasper, and Josh joining us today. And right as the music was starting to play, there was some confusion at first. I think we thought we might be playing the wrong track, and then you realized, no, it actually starts out similar to one of the other songs, right?
Yeah, same time signature, same key, same fiddle kick. We probably should have mixed those up.
Well, that happens,
We like to find one thing we're good at and stick with it.
There's just something so remarkably hard driving about 3/4 time in this style. It's, people, like the first 2 tracks, right, had that feel. Now, is that something that, as a band, like you guys are, kind of gravitate towards those types of feels?
Yeah, I would say so. As bluegrass progressed, it kind of lost the drive in the 3/4 time songs.
Yeah.
A lot of them are done a whole lot slower, or just have a different, vibe to them, I guess. So we try to always stick with the good old-fashioned 3/4 time. It's a little bit faster. It leans forward a little bit on the beat, and drives.
It hits hard.
So, yeah. We don't want that to get lost. Those are some of our favorite bluegrass songs.
Nice.
Well, and this was, again, an original, but it does have that vintage feel, like it could have been written 50 years ago or more. And I would love to know, I know, Josh, you write a bunch of the songs. Obviously, CJ did that last one. You also do arrangements of old songs. Do you all kind of bring songs to the band, and how do you work up arrangements?
You want to touch on that?
Well, I mean, yeah, as we've progressed and wanted more original materials, sometimes we get together and purposely be like, all right, let's all get together and everybody bring a song, let's talk about it. So that happens sometimes, or, someone will just hear a song and randomly go, hey, everyone listen to this, maybe we should do it. So it's a little bit of both of those things. Just depends on if we're working on a specific project. Since this album came out, the next album we put out was with Rounder Records, and Ken Irwin, that works with them, as the A&R guy. He brought a lot of the songs to us, because he has such a big catalog of songs he's collected over the years. So, for that album, we hardly brought anything that we thought of, because he had so many good choices for us to go through. I mean, he literally brought us, 100 songs or more to go through.
Oh, yeah, it was miserable.
It was almost ridiculous.
Hey, back there in the back, y'all keep it down.
Yeah, the little short guy with the black hat, could you leave or shut up? That's Jeremy's dad back there.
Well, maybe this is a good opportunity to does anyone have any questions for any of the band members as we go? That's a
Tommy,
big
you're
part
not
of the
allowed
show.
to ask questions.
If anyone has any, make sure to just raise your hand, and we'll make sure to incorporate your questions into our conversation. We got one right there.
How did you guys form stage act? And how did that?
And I'm just going to repeat it so that folks can don't miss that question. He was asking about how their stage act progressed over the years, because folks really enjoy watching you on stage, not just hearing the music.
Yeah, so I'll answer that one, I reckon. When we first started playing, we played around a single mic, and we loved the single mic stuff. It's part of the tradition of bluegrass music, just standing around a single mic and singing all together. As we grew as a band, added a 5th band member, and started playing bigger venues, it's harder to control what a single mic does. You have to turn them way down. And then, we play a lot of music festivals where we're the only bluegrass band there. And if you're playing a music festival where there's a rock band that goes on before you, they're going to be blasting the eardrums of everybody. And then we get up there with a single mic, and the front of house person has either never worked with a single mic before, or they're afraid of it because they have worked with it before. So they have to turn it way down to keep it from feeding back. And you just can't compete in those venues with a single mic. And part of the reason that we like the single mic is because of the entertainment value. We're working in and out of the mic, we're moving around. It's almost like choreographed. We'd never planned it out, but we eventually just learned the way each other moves, and we work around it. So we went to individual mics for a while, and we lost the movement on stage, and we didn't like that. It was boring. We felt like one of those, bluegrass bands that just kind of stand there and look miserable. And we didn't like that. We wanted to move again. So everybody went wireless. Everybody's plugged in or has an onboard microphone. We have wireless backs, and we can move again. So that's kind of what y'all seen last night. That's where that came from. We still get the sound quality of everybody being mic'd individually, vocals being mic'd individually, but we can move around, and it's more for us than it is for y'all. We get tired of standing in the same place. We feel like we're tethered.
Excellent. Is there another question back there?
I'd like to talk about bass.
He played that in the marching band, like that.
Now, people have asked me that before. No, I've never played in any sort of band, school band stuff, so I didn't have to carry the upright bass. I don't know. It's just something I developed. Let's see. I can't remember. I think it was like 2010 at IBMA. I saw the Tony Rice unit play, and the girl that was playing bass with Tony, every time an individual would take a solo, she would walk up and stand right behind them with her bass, like just to kind of give them some like reinforcement on the, where the beat was. And I saw that and thought it looked really cool, so I kind of started doing that early on. Now with our in-ear monitors and everything, it's pretty much irrelevant because no one can hardly hear me acoustically because we're all hearing it coming through their monitor system. So I pretty much just do it so I can get my steps in for the day. And being out on the road and traveling in a bus is hard on you. I mean, eating festival food, which they provided us good food here, but sometimes you're eating a lot of fried food and sitting around a lot. So
I looked like a mic stand before I joined the Bluegrass Band.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he looked like Michael Phelps. He was on the swim team, no joke.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you bring up traveling and being on the road because obviously you travel a lot in the Po Ramblin Boys. When you do you travel by bus or normally?
Yeah.
So is that when you're sort of going through like new songs where someone's like, oh, hear this. Are you listening in the car or are you guys all retreating to your corners? Is this your alone time? Do you just plug in your earbuds or do you listen to stuff as a band?
We pretty much never listen to stuff as a band.
Yeah. It goes either way. Sometimes if I write something new and we just happen to be on the bus, I'll play it for everybody. But usually whenever we're tossing around material, we'll plan it out. Like during COVID, we had a band retreat at a lake house for 5 days, and everybody was supposed to bring 3 new songs to the retreat. Or we'll get together, like when Ken Irwin sent us the 100-something songs, we just got together at somebody's house and done it that way. But when we're on the bus, it's a mix. We'll sit around and watch movies. Sometimes we'll get the instruments out, not very often, and a lot of times we sleep. And so it just all depends. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Excellent. Well, if you just joined us again, this is a live taping of the back catalog listening party here at the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old-Time Music Festival. Anthony Ihrig, one of the hosts, me, Mother Banjo, the other host, and again, we do this every Friday live at 4 p.m. on YouTube, but today we are doing it live from the festival with the Po Ramblin Boys. And do you guys want to hear another song? What do you think? Yes. So do I. The next one is Back Toward the Mountain. Not to be confused, there are 2 songs on this map. I was a little confused, but there's Back to the Mountains, which is the name of the album. Yeah. And then there's another track called Back Toward the Mountain.
Yeah, on our album after this one, the album we done with Rounder Records, we had Ice on the Timber and Ice Covered Birches. So
we like to confuse ourselves, mainly.
Yeah, well, this is a song written by Jerry Cole. He was a bass player for Doyle Lawson all the way up until Doyle retired, and now he's playing bass with the Authentic Unlimited. He's wrote a lot of good songs. He sent us this one. So
he just said, hey, you guys want to record this?
Yep.
That's how it worked. All right.
Yep.
Well, I was doing a songwriting workshop earlier today, and somebody asked, how do you get a band to play your music? Well, you write really good songs, get to know the band, and send it to them. So let's give it a listen. This is the Po Ramblin Boys, Back Toward the Mountain, here on the back catalog listening party.
been together for a long while, but I had been seldom fine till the day she met Tom Walker. Somehow her love had left her heart in mine. I swore that I would show her that my love's not blind. It's pretty dark back toward the mountain. Surely rain is pouring down. I bet it's cold back in the holler. I'm feeling low and lonesome, like the wind that's blowing round. I'm hoping what I lost there never will be found. Tom went missing. Where he is now, nobody knows. Swept away on the Pigeon River. It's amazing just how fast the water flows. His grave will have no marker, just miles of rocky snow. Pretty dark back toward the mountain. Surely rain is pouring down. I bet it's cold back in the holler. I'm feeling low and lonesome, like the wind that's blowing round. I'm hoping what I lost there never will be found. Toward the mountain, surely rain is pouring down. But it's cold back in the holler. I'm feeling low and lonesome, like the wind that's blowing round. I'm hoping what I lost there never will be found. Hoping what I lost there never will be found. I'm hoping what I lost there never will be found. I'm hoping what I lost there never will be found. What I lost there never will be found.
Oh yeah, a fade out in bluegrass. That's rare. Awesome. That is the Po Ramblin Boys. We're back toward the mountain. And so when you do it live, how do you try? Yeah, do you step away from your plugged in instruments?
Oddly enough, we don't. We just end it, but there is a song that we fade out live. That it's not that one. I don't know why we never tried to fade that one out. We fade out a little bit. We pull down dynamically a little bit, and then we have a big ending on it.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, maybe this is a good time to ask this question because you're all one of the joys we have of doing this show is artists get most artists don't listen to their old records, so we force them to do it in front of an audience, and so you guys are great sports. But I'm watching you guys kind of laugh and talk with each other about the song. So I want to know, are there any other like what are you feeling when you're hearing these songs? Or you're like, oh man, we don't do it like that at all anymore live? Or...
I think so far the thoughts have been it's not as bad as we thought it was.
Yeah. Well, I think it sounds pretty good. So.
Yeah, I do too, and I really wanted to ask about the recording process itself. I feel like there's so much nuance in the rhythms of this music, and to get just the drive just right, or the swing just right, or whatever. Were you guys in one room? Was there a click track going? How did you approach this?
This album is odd. I was. You want to talk about it?
Well, you're excited to talk about it.
Yeah, it's weird. We've never recorded an album like this since. The studio we recorded at only had one room.
Okay.
It was only big enough for one person.
Oh.
So.
You did it
one at a time?
Yeah, we set a click track, and I would sit there and play the guitar. That ain't how we done. I thought it was. That's how we done your dad's album there.
Yeah, but not this record though.
All right, well, y'all talk.
It was you, Jasper, and CJ, and then I come back and laid all the banjo later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we did the mandolin rhythm, the guitar rhythm, and the bass all at the same time, and then built around that. And we did we have a click track?
Yes.
Yeah, we did use a click track in headphones.
Is it, now you mentioned this is the only record you did it like that. Could you hear the difference?
Well, since then we've done it in a similar way, but this time we were all in the same room, and he tried to put some like isolation stuff around the microphones and point the microphones right at each instrument so you'd have some control. And there wouldn't be as much bleed over, but there's obviously quite a bit of bleed over on each track. So since then, we've done basically the same idea, except we do the banjo, the mandolin, the guitar, and the bass all in separate rooms, and then record them all at the same time. Or sometimes won't do the mandolin. Whoever's singing lead sometimes won't play because they'll be in another room doing a scratch track for us to play along to.
Yeah, I was confused. We cut an album for Jeremy's dad at that same studio.
Yeah, we did do it that way.
And we done it. We one at a time, like Johnny Cash, one piece at a time.
So with this first album, we all just had to sing the song and remember the arrangement in our head.
Right.
Since then, it's been easier because we have an isolation booth with someone doing a scratch vocal, and then they'll say like mandolin break,
Yeah.
So it's a little nicer because you don't have to think as hard. This one, we were all sitting there like, okay, what's coming up next? And then if one person forgot that there was another verse or something, then it'd screw up the whole process.
Oh, no.
But we recorded the entire album in 3 days. So I think it was 2 days.
2 or 3.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Let's go with 2.
Well, it's a testament to how much you guys had played together to be able to, sound like you're just locking in rhythmically, even though it was separated. That's no easy task, and it sounds great.
Yeah, it's pretty rare in, at least from a lot of the artists we've talked to that come from the bluegrass vein, especially a kind of traditional sounding record like this. It's pretty rare to have a click track or isolation. Like a lot of rock records are made that way, one track at a time, building tracks. But I will say nothing's lost. It sounds like it's you playing live, so that's a real testament, to your playing. Does anyone here have any questions for any of the members of the Po Ramblin Boys? No? Okay. Oh, yep, one in the back.
We can
There was a question about adding steel guitar, I think was the question.
We pretty much have always wanted to have a snare drum and a steel guitar, but it doesn't really...
It's not budget friendly.
Yeah, it's not budget friendly.
So one of you needs to start, I guess, maybe swapping out.
Yeah, I've offered to cut my pay if we can hire in a pedal steel, but I don't know.
Well, you mentioned listening to a bunch of country music, before you got into bluegrass, and I've noticed the next song is called "The Honky Tonk Downstairs," and then in parentheses it says "country version."
Yeah.
So can you talk a little? I haven't listened to this track yet, so I'd like to know a little bit about this tune, and maybe it can tie into this discussion about pedal steels and snares.
We just like to go honky tonking, man.
Pretty much. Well, especially at this point in our lives, we were doing quite a bit of honky tonking. But this is a song that CJ found by just, digging through his record collection. It was on a George Jones album. It was one of the George Jones songs that kind of went a little more unnoticed. I mean, most people haven't heard it. Since then, actually, just this year, if anyone listens to podcasts, Tyler Mahan Co. has a podcast called Cocaine and Rhinestones, and he does a episode on Dallas Frazier and brings up this song because that's who wrote it, and he wrote a lot of songs that George Jones recorded. So it's gained a little more popularity since then. But we did 2 versions. We recorded a version like how we normally would play it if we were at a festival, and then we recorded a version where we brought in some friends of ours, Taylor Malpas from the band the Malpas Brothers, and then what was his name, Clyde Maddox?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Wait.
No, that's somebody else. I'm pretty sure it says it.
Luckily, you have the source material right there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Anyways, he was playing steel with them at the time, so we got them to come in and record another version where basically it's just the steel guitar on it and the electric. Yeah, we took out the mandolin breaks and the banjo breaks and added a steel and electric guitar and had a little more fun with it. But since then, every album we've put out, we've added a little bit of obscure George Jones song on it, and we're going to try and continue that. I don't know. We've gone back and forth on if we're going to keep doing it or not.
Oh, we got to.
Yeah.
Well, we also
All in
want,
favor?
George Jones fans here.
well, we also want to put out an album that's entirely original songs that someone from the band wrote or had hands on. So that kind of goes.
I'll write
I
it.
just told him to write a song that George Jones would have recorded.
That's what I was going to say. I'll write a George Jones song. Yeah. Oh, we just to kind of reinforce what he said. At this point in our lives, we'd like to go honky tonkin'. We done it a whole lot. If we were in Nashville, we went to Robert's Western World and drank Pabst Blue Ribbon and two-stepped until our feet fell off. And, we would go to the American Legion honky tonk Tuesday nights, so we listened to a lot of 50s country. And we played a lot of 50s country on our shows. And when we cut this album, we were like, we have to put pedal steel on this. So that's what we got.
Well, that was a great setup. Good question. And let's give it a listen. This is the Honky Tonk Downstairs country version from the Po Ramblin Boys here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Well, it won't be long now till that old sun goes down, and darkness seems to hide my shameful tears. My wife works all night long for a man that's halfway gone. She's a barmaid in the honky-tonk downstairs. It's a shame she wears the name of a man that's locked and chained to a bottle that's destroyed our hopes and cares. To the men with hungry eyes, she works and hides and cries. She's a barmaid in the honky-tonk downstairs. She's a barmaid in the honky-tonk downstairs. It's a shame she wears the name of a man that's locked and chained to a bottle that's destroyed our hopes and cares. To the men with hungry eyes, she works and hides and cries. She's a barmaid in the honky-tonk downstairs. She's a barmaid in the honky-tonk downstairs.
All right, the Po Ramblin Boys, the country version of Honky Tonk Downstairs, and I saw some folks dancing in the background right there. So yeah, and I think actually later tonight, right here in the showcase tent at the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old-Time Music Festival, there might be some honky tonk dancing. So
I believe so.
If you are into that, you should stop by here. The Po Ramblin Boys joining us today on the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo.
I'm Anthony Ihrig.
And we are your hosts every Friday, normally at 4 p.m. live on YouTube. And today we are doing a live taping from the Minnesota Bluegrass and Old-Time Music Festival with 3 of the members of the Po Ramblin Boys. We are revisiting their 2016 release, Back to the Mountains. And it's been so much fun revisiting this record. And a little birdie told me, a.k.a. Jeremy. That there's 3 J's up here. It's been difficult to keep track of which one's which, but that they do have copies of the CD here for sale at the festival and on their website, the Po Ramblin Boys.com, I believe. Yep. So if folks are interested, and if you get it here at the festival, I'm betting you can get some signatures on that CD. So definitely want to check that out. And they'll be playing at 8 p.m. on the main stage for those of you here at the festival. So definitely check them out, and their moves, their choreography, high kicks and all, right?
Honky tonkin', yeah, that's where it comes from. That's fantastic. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for being a part of this, and thank all of you for being here today. Just to have an opportunity to listen to music together and hear the stories behind it. In this day and age of MP3s, we don't get the liner notes anymore, and this is as close as we get to it. And it's wonderful to hear all these stories behind the music. So thank you so much.
And we want to thank Tom Tschantz, who's been doing such a great job on sound for us today. And again, thank all of you for joining us who are joining us here at the festival, and for those of you tuned in online. And we have folks that support the show every week by joining our Patreon. And we started the show, Tony and I, when did we start it?
It was like March 20th, I think, 2020.
Yeah, I wonder what was happening then. Well, we were all at home, and Tony and I were missing our music-loving friends, and so Tony had this great idea to do this show online where we could reconnect with some of our favorite artists and listen to old records, because everyone has old records, and talk about the songs. But we thought we'd be doing it a couple weeks, and here we are, episode, what is this?
122.
Something like that. And it's because of folks tune in and support it. We want to thank these folks that are a part of our Patreon and support it every month. Penny, Ann, Alinda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Peggy, Joe, Jim, Beverly, and John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Court, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Craig, Jake, Mary, Many Tracks, and Nikki. And if you want to learn more, you can go to our website, backcataloglisteningparty.com. There's a link to our Patreon if you want to support it or check out past episodes. And many of the bands playing here at the festival have been featured on the show at some point. So we're cycling our way through all these great bluegrass acts.
Yeah, and for those here, if you're interested, this is going to air on the 26th of this month. We're both going to be playing at 4:00 on Friday, so we had to do this. But thank you all for being here, and once again, let's thank the Po Ramblin Boys for taking an hour out of their.
Jeremy, Jasper, and Josh, thank you so much.
Yeah, should we
go out with one more song as we wrap things up?
Yes.
All right, this is I Believe in the Old-Time Way. Before we hit play, anything you want to say?
Oh, CJ told us to say something about this song.
Charlie Moore did it, and the Traditional Grass did
That's
it.
That's right, yeah.
And, yeah.
And you did it.
That's right.
Charlie Moore wrote this song, right?
Well, you got the CD, you tell me.
Yes.
Yeah, Charlie Moore wrote it, and CJ picked it up from hearing the Traditional Grass do it, I believe.
All right, well, let's give it a listen, and have a great rest of your weekend. This is I Believe in the Old-Time Way from the Po Ramblin Boys here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
All right.
In the power that can move a mountain, I believe in the old-time way. Oh, I believe in the old-time sing and shouting, I believe in the old-time way. I believe in the power that parted the water for the children of Israel that day. And if you want to have a bright home in heaven, believe in the old-time way. Oh, I believe in the power that can move a mountain, I believe in the old-time way. Oh, I believe in the old-time sing and shout, I believe in the old-time way. say to pray is useless. There's no need to sing God's praise. But if you want to have a bright home eternal, believe in the old-time way. Oh, I believe in the power that can move a mountain. I believe in the old-time way. Oh, I believe in the old-time sing and shout. I believe in the old-time way. Shouting, I believe in the old-time way. I believe